Nos encontramos el día de hoy en la conferencia de prensa de la película Hércules, donde vendrá el director de la película, Ratner, y el actor principal, Dwayne. Entonces, pues veamos a ver qué nos tiene preparado.
Hola, Brett, bienvenido a México.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo hablo español perfecto. Dwayne Johnson.
Bienvenidos a México. Nos gustaría que nos compartieran, por favor, qué fue lo que les llamó la atención a los dos para realizar esta película basada en las historietas de Ratner Comics, Hércules y las guerras de Troya.
I'll say that since I was a little boy, cuando tiene un niño, escribe, how do you say books? Libros de comic books. Y escribe un comic book de Hércules versus Superman cuando tiene 6 años. So in mi vida, I was always thinking about, en mi vida siempre dreaming about doing a movie like Hércules, a sword and sandal movie, because I grew up watching the movies like Spartacus, okay, Ben-Hur, you know, all the great kind of period movies. And then I heard that MGM Studios was making a Hércules movie based on a graphic novel. I read it and I loved it. And I got a call that Mr. Johnson wanted to meet me. He comes over my house, he sits there, he looks me in the eyes, and he says, Brett, I was born to play Hércules. When Dwayne Johnson says I was born to play Hércules, you believe him. And then you, when you first came to Hollywood, right? Tell that story.
I did, yes. You know, I had been so inspired by the mythology of Hércules ever since I was a little kid. So like Brett, when we were ability
and showing emotion, and on top of that, bringing humor. That's what's different from this movie and every other Hércules movie. Every other Hércules movie and every other movie that's in the genre is serious, is dramatic. We have the seriousness, we have the drama, but we also have the humor and the fun. And that's what makes this movie different than any other movie that's made in the genre.
We have the fun. The fun.
Seguimos, por favor, con José Manuel Viniegra de La Alebrije.
Gracias. Bien, ¿tuvieron miedo en algún momento cuando intentaron bajar la figura de Hércules, un semidios, a un plano más humano? ¿Y cuál fue el mayor reto para cada uno de ustedes dos?
Yeah, no, I think that's what attracted us to the story. It showed the humanity. Every other movie was driven by the visual effects, driven by the spectacle, driven by the fact that the mythology and the fact that he's fighting monsters and that he's half man, half god. This grounded the story. This allowed us to make something that was grounded, that was real, and then it informed us, and we were able to build the incredible, did you guys see the trailers and stuff? The biggest sets you've ever seen built. Even that when we walked on the first day, we were like, oh my God. Because most of these movies are made in a room like this, all green screen. And everything is added in afterwards. Because of the story that we focused on, which is demystifying the myth, grounding the man, we were able to create these sets and these environments that were practical, where not only Dwayne, but all the ensemble, all the actors can walk on set and they felt like they were transported to 358 BC. We took them there because of the design. And I think both of us were attracted to the story because of that fact.
Right, and I think when you, as actors, when you come onto a set, that's very practical. And some of our sets were literally the size of a soccer stadium. massive set. So automatically, as Brett was saying, it informs you as an actor in terms of the meat of the story, and it's very, very grounded. And I want to say that, you know, like Brett was saying, when you have a story that's been around for some time, and there's been other movies made on Hercules. Hercules just came out in January, by the way, you know, where it was about the monsters and the mythology. It was something very intriguing and interesting about, again, well, what if is Hercules the son of Zeus? Possibly. Is he a man? Absolutely.
Bien, ahora Arturo Tobar de MPN Restart, por favor.
Hi, welcome to Mexico. Okay, you said that Dwayne came to you and he said, I'm Hercules.
We want it in Spanish. Give it to us. No, I'm kidding.
Dwayne llegó contigo y te dijo...
I'm kidding. English is better.
Come on. Sure. Well, he came to you and he said, I'm Hercules, but what was what you asked for him? This is what I want, this is what I need. And through your preparation as Hercules, Dwayne, when was the time that you said, okay, this is the Hercules I'm going to play, this is the right Hercules?
Well, let me start it and then I'll let him finish it, because I think both of us, because of our age, we're very close in age. He's much older than me, of course. And
29.
Because of our age, we grew up loving the concept of the strong man. For me, it went back to Superman, you know, then Hercules, then of course Schwarzenegger, and all these characters. And I was a big fan of wrestling as well, you know, growing up, watching Dusty Rhodes, The American Dream, and all these big, you know, Andre the Giant, you know, these guys, when you're a little boy, you look up to them. So for me, just the idea of a Hercules movie was the coolest thing in the world to do. But I couldn't find the actual story that I wanted to do, because if you think about it, and if you look back in history, as he said, there was 40 different versions of this movie, but they were all very similar. There were television shows, everybody thinks they know the myth. We wanted to tell another version of the story. And I'll tell you a really quick, a funny anecdote, that after he sat there and said, looked me in the eye and said, Brett, I was born to play this role. He then said on his way out, and by the way, I'm gonna be working out really hard to get big for this part. And I said, Dwayne, I think, and he was just coming off a great movie that he did called Pain and Gain with Michael Bay. What are these muscles called? His traps were up to his ears at that moment. And I'm like, you're gonna get bigger than that. But what he did was, before my eyes, and I've never seen an actor so devoted to a character, he transformed his body from being the weightlifter guy, the bodybuilder guy that was in Pain and Gain, to the mighty Hercules. So he can go through the details of it, but he literally transformed his body, and his dedication to the character was unprecedented. I've never worked with an actor, I'm not just saying this because he's here, that was so devoted. He was awake 4 hours before I was even awake, and committed to eating his diet and working out 2 times maybe before I even woke up. So his commitment to this, and I'll just tell you the one moment that I saw the transition, because you know, every actor, you have your own interpretation. He's been dreaming about it a long time, but you're not sure exactly maybe, but he came so prepared. But the moment that I saw it was when we had our first fitting in London, and I saw him and he put on the lion's head, and he put on the loincloth, and he had the club in his hand, and then they put the beard on.
Mi primera pregunta es con respecto precisamente a México, ¿no? Yo sé que no es la primera vez que vienes. ¿Nos podrías hablar un poquito de tu opinión acerca de la Ciudad de México? Y la segunda pregunta es para los dos. ¿Me podrían contar cuál es su secuencia o escena favorita en la película?
The first one about Mexico, right?
Yes, so I love Mexico. Love coming back to Mexico. It's always, it's probably I was trying to count this morning how many times I've been back here. I think it's somewhere, maybe 8 times, I think, over the years. Yeah, a long time.
For work or for vacation?
No, for everything.
Okay.
But I do. I really enjoy coming to Mexico. But here's the reason why. I just feel that every time I come, the welcoming is so warm. And it's so, and the warmth is always so inspiring.
Well, I'll just to say one thing about Mexico is that the amazing part of it, it's a country of maybe 100 million people, but the movie fans, the fans of cinema, are abundant. And that's why we come here to support it, because we want to give back to the people who love the cinema, who love movies, and we love supporting them, you know, and that's why we want to come here, because it's a fantastic country, of course, great food, beautiful women, beautiful culture, you know, incredible culture, incredible history, but most of all is a love of movies that the Mexican people love. We're here to support that. My favorite scene in the movie is the battle scene, the first battle scene in the movie, because it was probably the hardest scene I'd ever shot in my life. We spent weeks and weeks and weeks. We had maybe a day, 2,000 people on set a day. It was a huge challenge for everyone involved. But shockingly, okay, the budget was, I can tell you, at the end of the day, it was about between 100 and 110 million, which is an incredibly low number for a movie of this scope and this scale. If this movie would have been shot anywhere else in the world, it would have been over $200 million. But because we struggled and committed ourselves to going to Budapest, okay, which is a beautiful country, beautiful city. But we were there. I was there for 9 months. He was there for six months, and it was an incredible commitment. But because we were there and we used the local crews, the local cast, the local talent, we were able to make the movie for a price. And I think it was very smart of us, you know, because Hollywood likes that. They like when guys like us who are, you know, can cost a lot of money and have made X-Men cost $230 million, my movie. But in this day and age, you know, with what's going on in the world, it's important to be fiscally responsible. And both of us decided, okay, you know, because we can say, no, we're only making the movie if we get to do it in Miami, where we both love.
Or Mexico City, which I wanted to film Hércules.
That's the sequel, Mexico City.
Gracias. Bueno, el tiempo se nos está terminando y vamos a pasar a la última pregunta. Por favor, a Gustavo de Game Style.
Okay, no pressure, Gustavo. No pressure.
Well, I let my hair long because I wanted to be like Hércules, but I think
No, you're there. You're almost there. Almost.
Okay.
Almost. A couple more decades.
Okay, thank you so much. La pregunta es básicamente, Dwayne, has sido Dios, semidios, has sido rápido, has sido furioso, has sido hada por accidente. ¿Qué te falta? ¿Qué es lo que quieres hacer? Igual Red, has dirigido grandes cosas. ¿Qué es lo que sigue? ¿Qué es lo que te gustaría hacer ahora? ¿Cuál es el siguiente paso actoral en cuestión de dirección, producción? ¿Qué es lo que les falta por hacer?
Well, right now, guy, you know, you hooked me. You're like, you've been fast, you've been furious, you've been a fairy. I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to do an action comedy, which I'm very excited about. I was just talking with Brett about that, and then follow it up with. I'm not quite too sure yet, but you know, this is what happens on our business. You think you'd like to do something, you have all your ducks in a row, and then all of a sudden a project will come, you read it, and you go, oh, I want to do this next. So I have a couple of options to do something next. But yes, you're right. I am fast, I am furious, and I was a fairy.
Dwayne's commitment, my belief, and I'll just talk more also about him and then I'll tell you about me, but I think Dwayne's so committed to every character, even as a fairy. He was so committed to his characters that I don't think there's anything that this man cannot do. And I feel the same. I feel fearless in my commitment. I've never done, 50, 60 years ago, directors in Hollywood were under contract, and they would go from a comedy to a drama to a western to a musical. Their job was that they were paid to be a storyteller, and whatever story was put in front of them, they were paid.
Muchas gracias por visitar México. Esperamos que tengan un excelente estadía en nuestro país. Gracias.
Thank you so much.